Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time!
3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop. Oh.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, sports fans. How are you? Welcome aboard to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this post-storm Thursday. I hope everyone made it through. Everything okay as the thunder rolls, baby. It rolled through last night. And I hope everyone, I know that from the bottom of the state to the up through tornadoes up in the Indianapolis area. As a matter of fact, I was at the Chipotle Nationals last night watching Montverde and Trent Sisley go at it. And I was trying to beat the band to get out of there, thinking that I was just trying to race back to Bloomington, thinking that's where the storms were going to hit pretty hard. But it turned out that the Fishers area and northeast side of Indianapolis, man, they got pummeled. But hope everyone is okay and safe. I know there was some damage down in Evansville, but hope everyone made it through safely. And you're here with us today to enjoy another great show from Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, Coach Shannon Griffith will be with us. Probably going to have to move him to the second hour as Jamie Shaw from On3, one of the national basketball recruiting analysts, will be joining us. May have to move him up as he's heading to the Final Four, and flights getting moved around. It's just all kinds of things. We're making it happen. It doesn't matter. Bob Kravitz will be along as well as John Laskowski. So it is a busy day today. And I think we'll get Jamie on here just in a little bit. But, man, there is a lot going on. Last night I was up at the Chipotle Nationals, as I said, watching Trent Sisley in his final high school game. Montverde was not able to get it done, but there's a couple things there that people need to know. First of all, Montverde kind of got screwed by Montverde. Their team, they've been coached by Kevin Boyle for 8 years, I think. He won 7 national championships there. We'll talk more about that later. Jamie Shaw from On3 joining us now. Jamie, how are you doing, my friend?
Jim, man, I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. We had some great news here on Tuesday. Y'all coming over and stuff, and very excited about the future that we continue to have at On3.
Looking forward to the Hoosier.com and On3. It has been a great match already, but it will continue. Indiana, obviously, in the throes of a brand new everything. I was up at the Chipotle Nationals last night. Darian DeVries, Drew Adams, Nick Norton, all 3 of those guys were there as well. That same group was at the state finals last weekend. Kind of a difference because Indiana's previous coach didn't like to make it out to those types of events. So we'll say that. But I think that they may have stayed for that second game, the coaching staff, because the dead period began at midnight. So I guess they were going to milk every bit of that they could.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good thing, right? I mean, you're going to have a little bit of fire. There's always, when there's a change at the helm, there's always a rejuvenation. There's an energy about it. And there's an excitement looking forward. DeVries had a nice year, and he's coming over. He's already getting some commitments, notably his son, from the transfer portal. And, there's excitement, especially following what the football team did. And the excitement that Signetti brought to not only Indiana but the nation. Seeing that again this year, I'm sure the fan base is pretty pumped.
Oh, absolutely. This is a change that I think a lot of people were looking for to. Not everybody, but most people. But then there was the faction that wanted Chris Beard and this, that, and the other thing. And this is just where it is. It's where it's going to be. And Indiana fans, I hope, will all get on board with this, because Darian DeVries has done a good job wherever he's been. So I think Indiana is in good hands. Now the important thing is hitting this portal, which is, man, we know that it's like going to a super Walmart and walking down an aisle. Hey, I need a 6'10" dude. Well, they're back on aisle 12. I need a sharp, fast point guard. You got to go down. They're back over in the hardware section. But yeah, it's something that they've got to get up. But this is nothing he hasn't done before. He did it a year ago at West Virginia.
For sure, and that's a funny analogy that you bring up, but in the humor, there's a lot of truth to it as well. I liken it sometimes to a Cheesecake Factory. Just in the exact same way that you did on aisle 12. You look on page 3 for the power forwards and page 4 for the centers and stuff, and you go down the line. Got to be 6'8", got to be able to shoot, all that stuff. It's that's really what it's become. But he's got experience with it. He can coach. He's got a young, energetic staff. As you can see, he's putting time into recruiting already. As you mentioned, pushing it to the final hour before the dead period, live recruiting at Chipotle. So, there's a lot. There's a lot of excitement there. Now, you got to get kids in tow.
Yeah, and you've been covering this game for quite some time, and Indiana is a school that some people like to make fun of because the passion of the fan base, it just hasn't wavered. It doesn't matter that they have gone through what they have gone through. And people outside of that, they don't get it. It's a pure inbred passion that they hate. They hate losing. They hate that they have not been relevant, but they just have not given up on the fact that Indiana is a blue blood program. They just haven't lived up to blue blood status for far too long. And it's nobody's fault but their own, if you want to be my opinion. They have kind of put themselves in this position. But Scott Dolson, their athletics director now, he is primed to go on to the Mount Rushmore of Indiana athletics. If Darian DeVries can get this basketball program headed in a direction after what he did with Kurt Signetti in football, if you could turn Indiana football around, I mean, come on, give me a break. That's not even turning around. That's like pulling the Titanic off the bottom of the ocean floor and refloating it.
Well, and not only that, by the end of the football season, like Signetti was on every interview show. He was he was viral with everything he said, every press conference and everything like that. So he actually brought, within this 1 year, Indiana football to relevancy. With that, it seems that Dolson pinpointed DeVries, and DeVries was his man from the get-go. Got it done, moved on with it, and he got his man. So now it feels like here we are. And time to put the full force behind it. You mentioned the fan base. There's nothing better than a rabid fan base. Now, that can go good or bad. There could be positivity and negativity with it on both sides. But the rabid nature of a fan base is what makes college sports special. That's a big reason why I'm excited that you guys came over to On 3, that we get to interact and have fun with the Indiana fan base, with the ups and the downs, and walk through it with you as well. So the fan base is incredible. And that's the exciting part. That's what makes college sports, college athletics special, is being able to interact and having that rabid nature of a fan base.
Yeah, and like I said, if they can get Indiana basketball back, you don't need to do anything to start a fire. The fire's already there. But you add that to the excitement for football, it would be nuts how Indiana is not the largest school in the Big Ten by any stretch of the imagination. But if you can have a solid football program, a solid basketball program, you're ahead of the game. And Indiana's one of those places that should always be a solid program. And that's not Homer talk or anything else. the recruiting base is too good. Indiana is just a center point of recruiting for that region of the country, always has been. That's why if you look at Michigan, you look at Michigan State, you look at Duke or North Carolina or Iowa, there's always players from Indiana on these rosters. It's nuts how many guys go out, and Indiana has not really been able to take advantage of that. They lose Braylon Mullins, they lose Jalen Harrelson, lose Flory Badunga here in the last couple of years. These are all Americans, dude. McDonald's All-Americans that were right in the backyard but couldn't be landed.
You said that it's not rekindling the fan base. It made me think of that 80s song, "We Didn't Start the Fire, It Was Always Burning." I was going through my head. But yeah, no, I mean, Indiana always has talent. The top end, usually the top 5 or so at least, every single time, is talented and good and goes on to wherever they go and have successful careers. So yeah, you mentioned the ones recently. Braylon Mullins, Jalen Harrelson, just in the McDonald's All-American game. Flory Badunga, who's now in the transfer portal. Last year, McDonald's All-American as well. Out of Kokomo. There's a lot of talent in Indiana, and that's the goal every single year for the flagship school to be able to plant a fence around their state and get the best players in their state that they want. And that's the goal for every sport in every college at the flagship university of any state.
Yeah, that has been Purdue much to the chagrin of Indiana fans for the last several years, mainly because Indiana ignored a lot of those guys. They didn't ignore Trey Kaufman-Wren. They just lost him, couldn't get him. And that was one of the only Southern Indiana players in my memory that they were not able to get. And when that happened, that was a sure sign that there were problems. But they've moved on from that. They just landed Connor Enright yesterday officially. Tucker DeVries also officially on there. Last night I was at the Chipotle Nationals. You have Trent Sisley, an incoming freshman, but more importantly, these portal players is what's going to make or break this first team for Darian DeVries. What are the players you think that he needs to get, that they're looking at, and they're going to fill out this kind of roster?
Well, the thing you look at is he's going to have to fill out an entire roster. I mean, while the results might not have shown it, there was a lot of talent on that roster last year. So a lot of them being in the portal and all that, he's going to have to pinpoint quickly, him and his staff sit down and pinpoint quickly what it is they value in a player and what players they have inroads with and who they can bring in. The transfer portal is only a week old right now. And it goes on until the 22nd. So I guess it's a little bit over a week old now. It goes on until the 22nd. So there's going to be a lot more players that go in. So this is going to be a continuous process, throughout the whole thing, and being able to develop kind of an idea as to what you want and what your team to look like, and going out and getting those guys. I mean, it's going to be an entire roster. I mean, you just mentioned 3 players. You get 15 scholarships on the roster now. So that's 12 more guys that they need, not only for starters, for points, but for depth purposes as well. So it's going to be a pretty hefty venture. I would expect them to also probably bring in a couple high school kids, maybe 2, to kind of fill out the roster as some are opening up. But as you said, the majority of it will probably be out of the transfer portal.
And while it's not it is kind of a race, and it's not an emergency because, as you just said, players continue to go into the portal. It's something that they have to start getting with the roster numbers being increased to 15. You got to start landing some guys, and especially guys that you want for your style, that your play, that you're going to be running before they go elsewhere. And it's just like anything else. It's like trying to get the girl at the dance, man.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, you target the ones you want and go after it, but you also have to have a list of backups just in case, things happen and they go elsewhere.
With 1 year of experience of really doing this at West Virginia, and by that I mean completely rebuilding a decimated program. I mean, that he took over a last place Big 12 team at West Virginia. had them in the NCAA tournament. Bubba Cunningham screwed them out of that, but to me, they were in the tournament, and that's pretty remarkable to get done. There's no reason to think he can't do that at Indiana. So I do expect Indiana to be competitive next year. I expect them to make the tournament, and that's putting pressure on him. I get it, but hey, you have the resources. He has everything he needs. He's got the NIL. He has the fan base. He has the facilities. He has whatever he needs to go get these guys. And I know it's a different era, but it's still, Indiana still has cachet.
For sure. I don't think there's any reason to not expect anything.
Thank you. No.
There's any reason to expect anything less than that. I think it's very reasonable that the AD went out and got his guy in the era of the transfer portal. You see programs like Louisville and Kentucky last year who did not have a single returning player on the roster. They both made the NCAA tournament. So it can vary. I don't want to say very easily. It can be done. And in a program like Indiana, I don't think it's unreasonable to have those type of expectations along with the support.
So what is it? What does Darian DeVries have to do now? We've seen Pat Kelsey at Louisville just completely revamp a roster with 13 players last season. Mark Pope at Kentucky had a great run. Dusty May, of course, up in Michigan, and he's already reloading. What does Darian DeVries have to get done between now and when this portal business is over?
You got to put a roster together. You got to be able to formulate a core of players that you can go to war with, that you're comfortable with, that you think can build a culture around your team. Right now, he's trying to establish what his culture, what his identity is going to look like. He needs to go out and between now and the portal stuff ending, get a core of players. Doesn't have to get the whole roster, but get a core of players that he's wanting to present to the fan base, to present to the Big Ten, to present out there, to be able to build around, to be able to not only build this season around, but to build his tenure at Indiana around. So that's going to be a big thing is to go out and find some core guys that he can rely on that fit what he wants his team's personality to be.
And while landing Darian DeVries didn't exactly send shockwaves through the college basketball world, I think it's a good hire for Indiana. I don't know. The only other person that people really wanted was Chris Beard, and that wasn't going to happen for some other reasons, and it's just been announced that he's staying at Ole Miss. I don't know if he actually turned down the Maryland job or if that happened, but that would have been, boy, would that have been ironic to see him in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think he made a run at the Texas A&M job too. I think it just got announced yesterday that he was going to stay with Ole Miss upping the ante on his NIL and his salary and all that type of stuff.
Did A&M turn him down? Did he make a run at the A&M job and it just didn't work out?
It sounds like he was A&M's target, and they were in negotiations, and he opted to stay at Ole Miss.
Wow, that's surprising with the money that A&M has. We know that they have more money than God since they paid Jimbo Fisher $2.8 billion not to coach. It was $77 million, really. But I would have thought that that would have been hard to beat at A&M.
I think that's kind of what everybody else was thinking as well. So, it's kind of big news whenever Pete Nakos with On3 as well put out yesterday that he opted to stay and was getting a pay bump and was getting an NIL bump. I think that was pretty big news around around the landscape because it felt like A&M was targeting him pretty heavily.
Yeah, and that again, Indiana fans, there've been a faction of them that has just been up in arms about it because of the fit, because of his relationship to Bob Knight, and because of his success. I mean, hell, let's be honest. He went to a 13-22 Ole Miss team 2 years ago, and voila, a great run for him.
Heck of a coach.
But they are where Indiana is where they are right now, and they're in fine shape. They've got 2 assistants named with the 3rd yet to be done. Like I said, Drew Adams and Nick Norton have been by his side the last 2 times I've seen him. And last night, let me tell you, Darian DeVries was working the phone virtually the entire. Every time I took a couple of pictures of the group, but I never got one without him like this, which holding the phone up and his hand over his mouth so no one could see what he was saying even. But he was on that phone all night working the phone.
It's that time of year. I think everybody in this industry that you see out is having that conversation probably 9 times out of 10 looking at them. So there's a lot of moving pieces going on right now. And, yeah, that's what you want. It'd be much rather him closing a deal, doing that, than just sitting there and not having the phone to his ear.
And they're not behind by any stretch of the imagination. They kind of got a head start, but it doesn't really feel like they got a head start because of all the change of coming over and whatnot and not having a staff in place immediately. So they're pretty much equal with everybody else, except for most teams are only looking – they're not looking to fill entire teams, an entire roster. So when you're looking to fill an entire roster, man, you're kind of at a disadvantage.
Oh, for sure. I mean, behind the 8 ball, definitely. So, that's going to be something that he's going to have to figure out again. Typically in college basketball, you have about a 7 or 8 man rotation. So as long as you can fill out as much of that 7 or 8 man rotation as quickly as possible with players that you're comfortable with, and then go for there with more to fill out the depth aspect of it, you're in a pretty good spot. So, yeah, it's a tough road. You want to see some players, like you've already said, the point guard and DeVries both coming in, Enright and DeVries. So you want to see some more players trickle in as we go here. So it's a tough road. It's a long road. It's a very competitive road to be in. But that's the landscape we're at.
Wait till next season starts, and buddy, Indiana fans will be expecting Indiana to be Indiana. I promise you, it doesn't matter.
As they should.
Exactly. Somebody's got to hold their feet to the fire, right? Hey, you're headed off to the Final Four before we let you go and go catch your plane literally at the airport. We were able to make this happen, and I greatly appreciate Jamie for moving his schedule around. Off to the Final Four. This should be an absolute incredible Final Four. The tournament has been great. I know that people want the Cinderellas and all that, but you know what? The ratings have never been higher because at the end of the day, people want the names against the names. They want the best teams against the best teams, and you have 4 number 1 seeds playing each other, and it could not be any better. They're all healthy, to my knowledge. I picked Florida to win this before it started, and I'm sticking with that. No reason to change. But I've got to tell you, I was not a Duke believer until that Alabama game. And boy, then I'm like, mea culpa. I'm like, holy crap. Okay. And I have watched Montverde play for multiple years in a row. Was down there last year for the Mate. Originally met you at the Mate a couple of years ago. But last year, I was talking about this last night. They had Cooper Flagg. They had Liam McNeely. They had Asa Newell. They had Derek Queen. They had 2 others I can't even remember that were D1 starters. That's a free. You could take that team and play against many college teams.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable, that team looking last year. I was talking to Cooper actually last week after the game, and he was saying, he feels, obviously he's biased, but he feels that that's the best high school team ever assembled. You look at the success they had this year, the other 2 guys you're talking about, Curtis Gibbons at LSU and then Rob Wright at Taylor. But you look at those guys this year and the success that they had. I mean, probably 4 of those guys going to get drafted in the top half of the first round. You have Rob Wright and Curtis Gibbons going to come back next year and are promising to have, very, very good years. Those 6 guys, it's just astronomical. And then that's not even to mention the other guys that had Caleb Gaskins, who's a top 15 player in the country in 26 class. Caden Allen, who's a top 10 player in the country in the 26 class as well on that team. It's just that team was talented and deep. And, you're seeing the success of why they went undefeated last year in the high school ranks. And to your point too, with the teams in the Final Four number 1s, it's interesting too because they're such contrasting type styles. You have Duke, who's got length and switchability, the versatile. They can go 1 through 5 with unbelievable size and length. You have the physicality of Houston and Kelvin Sampson, what they bring to the table with a rotation of bigs and then guys that can make shots on the perimeter. You have Bruce Pearl, who doesn't have a true point guard, but has a litany of shot makers on the perimeter, and then Janai Brew, who's been dominant all season, and then Florida, like you said, who has an unbelievably well put together roster with 5 guys on the floor who can make a play with the ball in their hands. They have depth. Their guards defend at the point of attack, and they can make shots. I mean, they're contrasting styles, but they're all very well put together teams, and they're all 4 of the coaches have had really, really good years coaching these talented teams. So it should be a fun week coming forward to see how things go in San Antonio.
And not to 3 Jewish coaches in the Final Four. I only mention that just because the irony of it. Just they've all mentioned it. It's just a unique situation.
Unique. Everything about this Final Four, with it having 4 number ones and all that, there's a lot of unique storylines to be told coming out of San Antonio this weekend.
Absolutely, brother. Enjoy it. We look so forward to having Jamie on with us as frequently as possible. He is the man at On 3, and the Hoosier.com is very happy. I know Alec Lasley and Kyler Staley out at the Chipotle Nationals last night, both very familiar with Jamie, and they look forward to working together. Appreciate you, my friend. Enjoy the Final Four.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. We got USA basketball going out there too, so it's a double dipping thing. So it should be a blast, and I know it's going to be a blast with you guys moving forward. Indiana's a great fan base, and we can't wait to start building relationships with the fan base and everything too. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, buddy. Jamie Shaw from On 3 joining us here on this Thursday. More coming up with Bob Kravitz from BobKravitz.com after these messages.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at BenDavisChevrolet.com and BenDavisFord.com.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouth-watering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. I'm so glad to have you with us, and even better, what about Bob? Bob Kravitz from BobKravitz.com. You know, that was one of my favorite movies. Anything that Charles Grodin is in.
Yes.
He is the best guy to play off of.
Yeah.
One of my other favorite movies was Midnight Run, just because of the conversation. Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin.
De Niro, that's right. That's right.
I wrote a paper in college on that movie because of the relationship between them, the communication between them. One would speak through anger. It was just great. Charles Grodin was so dry and deadpan. My favorite line of the whole movie is they're trying to steal a old Ford Bronco or whatever in New Mexico, and De Niro's under the hood trying to hotwire it, and Grodin is just standing off to the side. And he just leans it in. He goes, I've got an idea. You get it started and I'll run you over.
That's great. They're both great movies.
Oh, I love it.
I'm just happy to be alive, because when those storms rolled through, one of the tornadoes touched down less than a mile from my house.
Yeah, what side of Indy are you on?
I'm on the east side of Carmel.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you were right in the path. I was up in Fishers last night for the Chipotle Nationals. And, the first game. And I'm like, buddy, I knew that I'm like, boy, and this game's over. I was talking to as many people as I could before the game ended, because I'm like, I'm going to beat the band to get out of here. And I was rolling, and I made it back to Bloomington before anything hit.
Oh, you're lucky.
And and I was thinking that's where, hell, it was behind me, because the leading edge of the storm had such a right angle on it that it hit you guys before it hit Bloomington, I think. But it was much worse up there. I know Evansville got some pretty good stuff, but the tornadoes up there, I was a little surprised.
Yeah, I mean, usually the tornadic activity goes north or south of us for whatever reason. Maybe we're just lucky, but this sucker, they said it hit 146 in Hazeldale. We're at 126 in Hazeldale. We're talking maybe a mile or two. I mean, that's scary. That's scary. My dog was freaking the hell out last night. It was fun. It was so funny. Then we'll get to sports. All night long, the alarms are going off, the sirens. My dog is all night long. Couldn't stop him.
The siren that is nearest me is probably 200 yards max from my bedroom balcony with the sliding glass door. That damn thing went off, and I'm like, oh my God. I mean, it's like being right in your ear, which is great. Yeah. But once it ended, I could hear that thing wind down for like 5 minutes.
It was a crazy night, but anyway.
Yeah, it was one of those deals, but no biggie. We made it through. I hope everybody else made it through as well. Yes. Like I said, I was up at the Chipotle Nationals. Darian DeVries, Nick Norton, and Drew Adams were in attendance, which is something that did not occur last year at this event when Liam McNeely was there. Right. And I think that Indiana lost him shortly after that.
Right.
But
this guy will show up.
Oh, talking to Jamie Shaw from On 3 just a little bit ago. This was Darian DeVries all night. And for those of you listening on radio, I'm holding my phone up to my ear, covering my mouth. He was working the phone the whole game. Working the phone the whole game. Then they stayed, I believe there was a second game, and I think that they stayed. I wonder what happened if they were able to complete that game. I didn't check because of the weather. That was in the direct path, but they were milking the dead period happened at midnight. So they had up until that next game ended to watch other players from other teams to see if maybe there's somebody there, because there are 11 McDonald's All-Americans playing in this thing, Bob.
Wow. That's unbelievable. How'd Sisley look?
He was fine, but I meant to start. I started to say this earlier. Montverde really got screwed over by Montverde. I hadn't talked about this before, but
who did? Say again?
Montverde Academy, where Trent plays. Kevin Boyle has been their coach for, 8 years or whatever. He won 7 national titles there, and he took the job, the same job at Spire Academy up near Cleveland here not too long ago. And he was going to announce it, and Montverde said, no, you're not. We'll announce it when they wanted to. And he said, no, I'll announce it when I want to.
Sure.
And so that little power struggle went on, and it turned out that Montverde said, fine, go ahead. Wouldn't let him coach the team in this event. And I think there were 4 of them in total that were sent along, which was horrible to do to the team.
Yeah, that's terrible.
You send them up there with an assistant coach that has never coached in that manner.
Right.
And it just wasn't, it's not befitting of a team that just was the reigning undefeated national champion that has won 7 times. It's ridiculous. But anyway, Trent got to work his butt off and scored. Oh, he scored his 2000th high school point, which doesn't count in the Indiana records, of course, but his career, he scored 2,000 points. That's a remarkable achievement.
That really is.
Look at how many guys in Indiana have scored 2,000 points. Now, again, I know this doesn't count on the Indiana standings,
right?
But to be able to do that on a team that you're not he went from being the profiled player to not being the profiled player. But to still be able to do that, he set the rebounding and scoring records at Heritage Hills, breaking his brother's records after his junior season.
Holy smoke. Okay.
So pretty good run there. Now Darian DeVries is off trying to fill an entire roster, which is why he was working the phones all night.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, they got the Enright kid, they got Tucker DeVries, and they got Sisley. That's it, right?
At the moment, there are
at the moment, yes, obviously. I mean,
yeah, there's Josh Dix, who was just in on a visit as well. And we'll see how that one turns out. And more players going into the portal every day. It's going to be. I told fans from the beginning, hey, just relax, man. Just because somebody else picks a player up doesn't matter. Just chill.
Look at what IU did last. Oh, excuse my dog. He sees a dog outside. I mean last year they went for ratings in the portal. I mean, you would hope that they would bring in guys who can be a team. Last year just seemed like a bunch of individuals with big numbers, and the roster construction was all wrong.
Yeah, and here Michael posts, and this is something I've talked about before, but you use Dusty May as a barometer. He got the Michigan job last year on March 23rd. It wasn't until April 19th, until the 24th that week, where he got 7 commitments. You work on this stuff, and boom, then it starts to come together. So that's why I'm saying, thank you, Michael. Just chill, people. There's everybody is in the freaking portal.
Everybody's in the portal.
2,000 guys in there.
How many guys
going to land somewhere? I think it's like 2,000. I don't know.
2,000. Yeah, that's a number. That's a number I saw too. It's like everybody. There's more guys in the portal than not. I think it's unbelievable.
No, well.
Oh no. But
I think there are like 10,000 Division I players. I looked that up a while back, and I think that's what it was. I can't remember now, but so there's that. Michael says that May 8th's Michigan recruitment was his former player, Vladislav Godin, who he signed April 29th. Yeah. So there's probably a guy or two from West Virginia that will be coming over. He had a couple of commits that decommitted that. If they committed to West Virginia, I'm kind of surprised that they wouldn't commit to Indiana, but we'll see. They got other chances to look at. Josh Dix, Illinois is definitely in the mix, and they might be the leader there. It's gone back and forth between Indiana and Illinois on his services. We'll see. Brett Underwood, he never disappoints the Illini fans on filling up a team. There is nobody that's done a better job on retooling a team year after year than Brad Underwood.
I think he's a very underrated coach. Very underrated.
yes.
I mean,
He's the most underrated in the Big Ten.
Yeah, no doubt. Because every year they're right there.
And one of these days, maybe he'll get past that.
Right.
You just have to put together one of those teams or get on a run like Bruce Pearl. Bruce Pearl's on a run. He's on one of those heaters and keeps getting the good players, and that's all it takes.
All right, so who you got in the Final Four, bud? Who you got?
Well, I had all three. I had 3 of the 4. The only team I didn't have was Duke. I was not a Duke believer. I was not a believer, but now I'm a believer. After the Alabama game, I was like, okay, I just told Jamie Shaw, I said, mea culpa. All right. I thought Duke was just Cooper Flagg.
No, they got that Knuppel. Is that how you say his name?
Well, they're just after also seeing them win the ACC tournament, although the ACC was weak, but they did it without Cooper Flagg. I'm like, okay. But then the Alabama game really spoke volumes. Defensively, able to keep them down to 65 points after scoring 2,000 in the game before that.
Exactly.
So Duke is anybody can win this. There's 4 number 1 seeds there.
Yeah,
so
anybody can win. I think honestly, I mean, I like Duke. I mean, I'm going totally chalk. I think Duke will win the whole thing, but I think if you give me a second choice, Houston. I mean, Houston just plays murderous defense. I mean, they're a great 3-point shooting team. LJ Cryer, I really like their team. Look, I'm not a Kelvin Sampson fan by any stretch of the imagination, but he's got one hell of a team.
I don't hold that. Kelvin Sampson's just a really good coach. He did some things he shouldn't have done back in the day. But these were not. I have much more disdain for someone like Bill Self, who was knowingly cheating his ass off with paid players and things like that. So I don't have this animosity towards Kelvin Sampson. I would think that he seemed to learn lessons. He paid a penance. He paid for his deal. And like I said, there were so many that were so much worse that got away with it. North Carolina, for God's sake.
Agreed, but I'll say this, Jim. I don't think phone calls alone were the reason why he went down at Indiana. I think there are a lot of
the character of some of the players apparently wasn't exactly.
He brought in some bad people.
But I think also at the time you didn't have the transfer portal, and man, he was trying to fill a team. He was left with what he was left with and trying to fill the team. And I'm not here to defend him, but he is a hell of a coach, and he damn well could win the national championship.
Absolutely.
So can Florida, so can Duke, so can Bruce Pearl and Auburn. That's the great thing about this Final Four. You don't have this UConn team that everybody's chasing. There's no team that everybody's chasing. All 4 of these teams are in the mix. This
ought to be epic. I mean, it's since 2008 we've had all 4 number 1 seeds, and I believe it's the first. I believe it's only happened one time previously. Just 2008. So that's pretty remarkable.
It is, and I'm going to do something that only because I had Jamie Shaw on with me earlier, and we went way, way long. I missed a break. We're still in our normal time, but I've got to hit a quick break if that's okay with you. And we'll be back with more from Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com. Make sure you're following and keeping up with everything he has. We're back right after this break. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, You can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the hard truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the hard truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria in Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at bendavischevrolet.com and bendavisford.com.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this post-storms Thursday, post-apocalyptic Thursday. I hope everybody made it through safely and with as little as damage as possible. You know, you were talking about your dog. I've got little Hank here. He's approaching 11 months. He couldn't give a rat's butt about the storms. I was like,
oh, really?
Oh, what's this going to be like? He kept going outside last night. I'm like, get your ass in here. It's raining.
Espo loved the sirens, man. He was just howling all night. It was hysterical.
Espo, are you big? Is that a Espo tequila?
Espo, short for Esposito, like Tony Esposito.
Hockey player, should have known.
Hockey, yeah.
Surprised his name isn't Hartford or Whaler or something of the
Gretzky. We thought about Gretzky. My daughter's. I have sad news. My daughter's dog Gordy, for Gordie Howe, they have to put him down tomorrow. It's very sad. We're going to see him tonight, but yeah, it's. I just
hate for that.
I just thought to bring the whole show down.
No, that's all right. I hate to hear that but his time has come. He was a great player, and but unfortunately, it's give him a good monument.
There you go.
In the NHL Hall of Fame, and so there you go.
There you go.
Make it good. Hopefully they can come up with maybe an Ovechkin now.
A what?
An Ovechkin.
An Ovechkin.
What's his name?
Ovechkin.
Ovechkin, rather. Yeah.
Ovechkin. That's what I thought you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah,
maybe we'll get a new dog, call him Ovi.
What a great, unique name.
Yeah, Ovi's good.
Ovi. What is up next for you, man?
Hell, I don't know. I'm playing some golf this weekend, hopefully. If it doesn't.
Really?
I'm going to try. We'll see how that goes. We'll get the Final Four coming up. I'll probably do something off of that. And Indiana's still trying to build up its team. And, I expect stuff to happen. I mean, the Pacers are in an interesting spot now, holding on to that 4th seed. They're playing great basketball right now, and I think they're going to make another run. I really do.
Yeah, they're getting hot at the right time. And even like when they lost to the Lakers, boy, they just let that one slip away.
Yeah,
could have had that.
Yeah, but otherwise they've been terrific, and really since they started 10 and 15, shoot, stupid dog. Since they started 10 and 15. They've been dynamite. They've been one of the best teams in the league outside of Cleveland and Oklahoma City. So I think they're ready to take a long run. Espo, stop it.
Oh, no. How about this? Philip, breaking news for this name, Gofetchkin.
Oh, there you go. Nobody will get that one.
Oh, my gosh. That is – I get it. I think it's great. I think that is – good job, Philip. Great job. So now we're in the final stages of college basketball. It's like if you're a drug addict, you're about to go cold turkey, man.
I know. It's like no football. I mean, well, I got the hockey playoffs coming up, and we got the NBA playoffs coming up, so that'll keep my interest. I know you're a big hockey fan, so
it's not that I'm not. I just there's
don't know
so much I can stick it into this little pea brain of mine.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that.
I told you my last TV sports anchor job. I was at a stop where they had a junior hockey league team, and it was very, very something that everybody would go to. So I had to cover it, and I covered Louisville had hockey team twice.
Yeah.
So I had covered hockey, but when I was actually an anchor, I didn't know this is a long time ago. I didn't know diddly, but I knew what I needed to know. He crosses the blue line over to Gretzky, shoots, he scores. Boom. That's it.
That's all you need to know.
Cut the highlights right there. Bam.
Show a fight or two.
Oh,
got to show the fights.
I remember when the guy got cut across the throat with the skate. This is a way, way, way long time ago.
Malarchuk.
God, he come up like this, and you could see it on the ice, and I was like, oh my God.
Well, when I was still playing hockey back then, I was a goaltender, and I never wore the hang down, the neck guard.
Yeah.
And then I saw Malarchuk get cut and severed his carotid or whatever it was, and bleeding everywhere. And that's when I went out. I went out immediately and bought myself a neck guard.
How about that? Brian has a Gretzky Racers trading card.
Yeah, I bet you Gretzky's name is spelled correctly on the card, though.
Oh, is there an E in it?
No, Z. Gretz.
The great one. Let's see. Lee says, on a side note, how about Mason Gillis competing in the second consecutive Final Four? He actually has a chance to win a national championship this time.
Yeah, great for him. And who is Cryer? Cryer won. Didn't Cryer win the national title at Baylor as a freshman?
I think so.
And now he's getting another shot.
He would be the first. He would become the first to do that, I believe.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah, there's so many storylines. Yeah, I'll tell you a storyline I wrote about the other day. This may mean nothing to you or to most of your listeners, but you know, how many teams in Division I? About 350, something like that. Okay, there are 13 Jewish coaches in college basketball. 3 of them are in the Final Four. That is remarkable because let's face it, there's not a lot of us in the coaching ranks, or in sports in general, unless we're, in the media or ownership or, whatever. That is an amazing statistic to me. And I don't think anybody will really dive into it or write about it, but it's astounding. It's astounding to me that, you got 13 out of 350 and 3 are in the Final Four. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, if it is, I had no idea. Not that it matters or I needed to know or what. Bruce Pearl, I had no idea. Then again, why would I? I don't know what religion anybody is. It's just like when John Kennedy became the first Catholic to become president. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
With all the Catholics, how does that happen?
Well, I said, it may not be of any interest to anybody who's listening, or may have dropped off because I brought up the subject. But as a Jewish person myself, I take great pride in my faith, and I'm very proud that 3 of the 4 Final Four coaches are Jewish. It's certainly never happened before, and it will never happen again.
Yeah, enjoy some a sprinkle of kibosh or something. I was trying to think of something that came off. I was watching a bunch of Seinfeld bloopers the other night, and
That's funny.
There was one when George's dad is in bed. They're both sleeping in the same bed for some reason, and he's eating a bowl of something, and he starts to take a bite, and he just leans over and says, whatever it was, kibosh, or I can't remember what it is.
Okay, that's funny.
Bob Kravitz, make sure you're giving him a follow. Go to bobkravitz.com. He'll have some info about or something out about the Final Four, and who knows what.
Who knows what?
Come up with great stuff, buddy.
Day by day. I'm day by day.
Appreciate you, my friend.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thank you, sir. We've got lots more coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios, including John Laskowski and more after these messages. Thank you. We're back with more. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. And you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Thursday. I hope everyone made it through the storms just fine, as we did. And it wasn't quite as bad as I thought. It just rained all night long. And I'm getting ready to call our friend John Laskowski right now and get him on the phone, former Hoosier player, and get his thoughts on the new coach, what's going on with him. Hey, John, how are you, sir? We're on. I was not able to give you a heads up. I apologize.
Doing good. Hold on. Let me get checked in here. I'll get you. Hold on.
He's got to get checked. He's got to make some butter burgers. Butter burgers and some special root beer floats that don't come anymore. But if you've been out, everywhere I go, it seems like I see a Culver's now. And I always think of John or Scott Laskowski every single time, as you should be. They've got a new one opening up down in Bedford, by the way. The one here in Bloomington is the busiest in the state, I believe. Got one down in Jasper. They're everywhere. And John, just let me know when you're ready, brother.
Okay, I'm hooked up, and I hear you real loud and clear, Jimmy.
Thank you, sir. I was just talking about your burgeoning. You're a Culver's. What's the word I'm looking for? Just a entrepreneur opening up these places all over the place, man. You started with Bloomington, and that's still the busiest one in the state?
It is. The busiest Culver's. There's about 35 or 40 in the state of Indiana, and we are the busiest Culver's thanks to our great folks who live there and our students. Our students love it. So especially when the students are here, it's busy.
Well, who doesn't love it? Great stuff. And Jasper, that one opened last year. Now you're finishing up one down just below us in Bedford.
And Bedford will be open about mid-June. It's come along well. Son Scott owns Jasper and Bedford right now, and he'll be getting that one. I'll be there to help him, though, get it going. And, boy, we hear a lot of folks from Bedford who come up to Bloomington. Can't wait to see a good place there. So we're anxious to get down there and get open for them.
I bet. Biggest thing has hit Bedford since Damon Bailey or the tornado.
Damon Bailey, yeah. I need to call Damon, see if he'll give me a picture. We'll put him up on the wall there.
Picture nothing. You better get him in there. Give him some butter burgers.
What a great player he was for Indiana. And, of course, who could forget him taking really charge in that fourth quarter of the Bedford-North Lawrence State Championship game at the RCA Dome with, 40,000 people watching, and he wins the state championship. So what a great memory for Bedford, Indiana.
Yeah, were you there for that?
I watched it on TV. I was not there. But I said, this kid is good. And he, of course, had a great career at Indiana as well. And now lives in Bedford, has a business down there, and doing great.
Yeah, I was there and covering it, and we had done a Final Four. I had put together a Final Four preview show that was seen around the state, and that was still to this day one of the most amazing things to actually watch before your eyes. Bedford was having trouble. I think it was Concord they were playing. And
with Sean Kemp.
Yes, and they were just, you had Sean Kemp, which is enough to say, but they were so much better than them as a team. But the last, I forget how much time, but Damon scored the last 11 points. He brought the ball up the floor. He hardly ever left it out of his hands.
Yeah, that's those are the lures of Indiana basketball. The one before that was Scott Skiles at Plymouth. Hit a game-winning jumper from about 20 feet back in the 80s to win the state championship for another small town, Plymouth, Indiana. And all good stories with Indiana basketball.
Absolutely, and he has gone on to have a long NBA coaching career, which I did not realize. Speaking of coaching, Indiana has a new one in Darian DeVries. Saw him out again last night. I was up in Fishers at the Chipotle Nationals. He was there with Drew Adams and Nick Norton, two of his new assistants. He was checking out not only Trent Sisley, but because yesterday was the final open day, I guess he was watching whomever was on both teams, and I think he stayed to watch the second game that went on last night.
Well, I did hear about that. I was not able to go. I was actually in South Bend because the St. Joe Huskies, who won the state championship in 3A on Saturday.
Oh, yes, congratulations.
Yeah, and they invited some former players back, and so I called some of the guys from my class, and 6 of the guys from my team at 71 showed up, and we got to congratulate the team. In fact, there was a kid on the team. As I went through the roster, I knew the Knesny boys, named Shrewsbury.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
I said, wait a minute here, that's kind of a rare name, and I gained a look, and there's Shrewsbury. He's in the stands. Watch, that's his son on the team, on the St. Joe team.
Yep. Yeah, he was there. I saw him at the state finals.
Yeah, I went up and said hello and introduced myself. And, of course, he's had some Midwest ties, and his boys were there. I got to meet them. He introduced his wife to me, and he said, she's an IU grad. And I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, when did you graduate? And she said, 99. She's from Indianapolis, and they met obviously while he was there in town coaching, and now they have high school boys, and one of his boys plays for him at Notre Dame, and this one is a junior, so he's still got another year at high school, and they had a daughter as well. Looked like she was in high school age as well. So we were chatting, and I told him it must be tough watching, a team play that you're not able to coach and with your son on it. But I said, one of my greatest memories in college was playing Indiana and Notre Dame. We used to play home and away every year, early December. It was a great game to play. And I said, what would you think about trying to strike that up again? And he said, well, I know Coach DeVries. And he said, let me talk to him about it. So I said, we're playing Kentucky December 20th. That series is back on. I said, man, it would make sense for the state of Indiana to have the two big schools play. So we'll see if that doesn't transpire.
Yeah, that was go ahead.
So I missed that thing at Hamilton Southeastern, but I'd heard that was going on. It's great, obviously a chance to see players, and that's something that this staff has to be able to do quickly and put a whole team together. I think the biggest thing about the new coach and starting a brand new team is it's a challenging position because you need 13 new players to enter, and you don't have a full staff yet. I know he's working on getting a staff. It's not all put together yet, but obviously he needs help because he can't do it all himself. AU tournaments will start soon, and you got to divide guys up and send them here, send them there. But when you look at it, it can be an advantage if you look at it the right way, and that is you get to hand pick the guys you want, and you kind of got each position you're looking for, and you go around, and there's not somebody already there who's the incumbent for that position who may or may not agree with your culture, and now you bring all these guys in. It reminds me when Coach Knight got the job. I was in the very first class that he had, and there were probably – I'm going to say 10 guys who are already there left over from the previous staff. And Knight's offense and defense are completely different to what those guys are used to. And then by the time we got to the Final Four in 73, there were only 4 of those players left from the 10 that were there when Coach inherited. So sometimes you lose guys anyway because it doesn't fit. Well, now they're all gone anyway because of the nature of the NIL and the transfer portal that we're in. He's got a chance to bring a good team. Now, not that Kentucky and Louisville are my 2 favorite teams, but they both took new coaches last year. They both cleared house and brought 13 new players in, and they both did pretty darn good with their basketball teams this year. So it's proven that it can be done quickly. It used to take 3-4 years to get a team the way you wanted to. It's different now with these new rules, and it gives the new coach an advantage to say, I'm going to get some players in here, and we're going to strike out in the first year.
Yeah, well, and Darian DeVries did it last year when he went to West Virginia in his first season. He took over a team that had finished dead last in the Big 12 and was picked to finish dead last again, and they ended up actually making the tournament, and the North Carolina AD, Bubba Cunningham, screwed him out of that. But he was able to turn that squad around pretty quickly.
That's what it takes. Somebody who knows what they're doing and how they do it. And I think Scott Dolson made an excellent choice in our coach. I have not had a chance to meet him yet because he's busy. He's got things to do, but look forward to meeting him and let him know that the players, former players are behind him. We'll help any way we can with going to games and supporting the cause. And it's an exciting time for Indiana basketball. When Coach Knight first took the job, Indiana was known as the Hurrying Hoosiers, and in the 60s, the goal was to score 100 points in a game, and win or lose, 100 points was, hey, this is great entertainment. We lost the game, but 102-100, and they lost some games that way. But hey, man, this is fun, And so Knight gets the job, and it's all about defense. We're going to shut these guys down. Here's what we're going to do, boys. The offense will come, but if we win 68-62, that's a good win in my game. And so the fans are in an uproar. They can't believe that we're not the Hurrying Hoosiers anymore. And a story goes that even the AD came to Coach and said, Coach, we don't mind losing a few, but we can't lose 60 to 52. That's not what we want. And Coach says, hey, don't worry about how I'm playing. We're going to get this thing turned around, and you just worry about the other sports. This sport's going to be taken care of. And of course, he was right. And defense, I was at my high school yesterday, and a guy comes up to me and goes, you still have the school record of 49 points in one game. He said there was a kid this year, Knesny, got 43, and that was over 50 years ago, Jim.
With no 3-point shot.
49 points. 49 points. No 3-point shot. No dunking. I couldn't dunk either. If I could have dunked, man, if the rules allowed dunking, I could have got more. But we would score 100 points in a high school game, and now, the scores are in the 60s and 50s. And I think that all goes back to Coach and I emphasizing defense, holding clinics. These high school coaches come to the clinics, and he's teaching defense to them. They go back to their high school, and now teams are playing defense, and scores aren't near as high as they used to be. And they're very patient on offense. So it's a guy who brings in a culture that fits the style. Of course, that was 50 years ago when Coach brought that style in. And now Coach DeVries had a chance to bring his style in to say, okay, here's what we're going to do at Indiana now. And he explains that to the players. And the players either have to say, yep, I'm buying in, or no, I want something else. So when he talks to these portal players, and you think, oh man, we're going to get this guy, and then he goes somewhere else, well, something happened there. Either the coach didn't like what he heard from the player, or the player didn't like the style that was going to be played, and they split their ways. And so it's not like, oh, geez, we just lost another one. It's no, that wasn't the right fit. The coach knows the guys he wants in that position, and he knows the attitude that he wants to have. And he's not going to settle for, well, this is close enough. You can't afford to do that, because you get a couple bad apples in the bushel, and it can spread. So you're trying to get all these great kids that understand your style. I had a great conversation with Jerry Nichols. That's a name not many people know, but he was a senior in high school in 1971 from Greenwood, Indiana. And when Jerry Oliver was the coach at Indiana, he committed to Indiana before his senior year, before Knight got the job. And he was going to get Indiana from Greenwood, and just up the road a little bit, good player. And so Knight gets the job, and they go, hey, we got this guy who's committed, very similar to what DeVries had with Sisley down southern Indiana. And so Knight meets with Jerry, and he says, hey, here's what I'm going to do. And he outlines the defense, outlines the offense, and it's a 2-hour meeting. And Nichols is sitting there, and he goes, this is not the ball I want to play. He said, Coach, thanks for being here, but I'm not going to Indiana. And he ends up at Purdue. Now, he hurt his knee and didn't have a great career because of a knee injury back then. But there's an example of it just wasn't a good fit, so let's not go with it. And I think that still holds true today, that the coach has to develop that style that he knows can win, and he finds those guys, and some are going to say no, and that's okay, because you get the guys that are committed and are a team, and he did it in West Virginia. He knows how to do it. I think he can do the same thing here, and hopefully it's even better in Indiana, because more guys want to come to Indiana that are good players, as opposed to West Virginia, who's not known for great basketball, as our history is.
Yeah, and DeVries is known for playing defense, but also playing kind of an up-tempo style, scoring, using the perimeter, guys that can shoot, an offense that I think Indiana fans are going to wrap their hands around, more athletic, and not maybe as big, maybe a little bit smaller, but that kind of is – I'd like to say that's where the college game is going, but not everybody's going there. Matt Painter doesn't do that. You see several bigs, but the bigs that you want to get are the guys like Danny Wolf at Michigan, who is nothing but a freaking center point guard.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at the Final Four coming up this weekend, those teams all play defense. It's kind of like baseball in the World Series. Pitching wins the World Series. Defense wins the Final Four, and that's where it's got to start. Knight did it 50 years ago. I think Coach DeVries is going to try that same approach, and I think kids are going to love, let's get a quick shot in 12 seconds. That gives you more opportunities to score, and before the defense sets up, it makes perfect sense in today's world, because if you're playing a good defensive team, why not get a shot off before they get set up? Because it may take you 20 seconds, 25 seconds to get a shot if they set their defense up and they're good at it. So I think it's an exciting time for Indiana basketball. I think he's off to the right track, getting the staff hired, which is crucial. Talked to the players. None of them came back. Don't know what the reasons were. It doesn't matter. But like I said, if it's not a good fix, either way, then you move on. I hope those players find a good place to go. But for Indiana fans, know that this guy knows how to do it. He's done it twice at Bradley and then at West Virginia. So we're excited to have him here, and can't wait. Is it October yet? Has practice started yet?
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it. Hey, don't skip football this year, man.
Well, now there's another guy. You hire a guy who nobody's ever heard of from a small program, and you think, Scott Dolson, well, have you lost your mind? And then he comes off at that very first game when he's introduced at the timeout and makes those comments about Purdue and Michigan and Ohio State. It is to win football games in Indiana. And boy, were we wrong. He did know how, and he put his system together, and he got his players, and a lot of the guys stayed. The good players we have stayed. He brought in more new players, and I'm renewing my tickets. I've always been a season ticket holder fan. I stay to the whole game now. He got upset those first couple games where everybody left, because that's what we did. We left at halftime and didn't come in, because why would you want to see us lose? And now we're winning, so you stay. And I think it's a great hire by Dolson. I think this is a great hire. I can't wait to see the rest of the staff get hired. I think an interesting position will be the general manager. A brand new position in college basketball that's never happened. Some of these names that schools have hired to be their general manager to oversee the program. It takes some responsibility off the head coach, because he's in there to coach and to develop the offense and defense and to guide his assistant coaches to get to the players. And that's a big job in itself. But then you got to add on the portal. And well, you don't have to do that. You get other guys who could do that, especially if they have a good basketball background, college basketball background. It's so new, the transfer portal and the NIL, that they're all learning, how does this thing work? And then the revenue sharing starts in September. How's that going to play a part of this? So everybody's kind of learning this new rule, like the 3-point shot or the 30-second clock. You adapt, you figure it out. And so you got somebody else who can deal with all that, and the head coach can deal with the team and the strategies. And I think it's an excellent choice. So let's see who Indiana gets for the general manager to help that head coach and the assistants and the players. And I think with our reputation, we can get a great person to do that and be off and running and get right back to the top of the Big Ten where it belongs.
Yeah, not every school has gone that way. I don't know whether it's financial or a coach's decision, but especially someone like Darian DeVries, who is coming in brand new and to a big program with a daunting task in front of him. The GM is, in essence, like a GM of a pro team, as far as their role is to get the players, which that is not going to be something the coach is not involved in, obviously, but that is in the professionals, pro leagues, that's what they do. They set the teams up, and the coach coaches them. It will be quite different in the college. They will be working in concert, I would imagine.
Well, I mean, let's say that you've got a shooting guard position, you got 10 guys that you like, that could be possibilities. So now the general manager goes out, he watches all 10, and he narrows it down to 3. And he says, okay, coach, I got 3. I think these 3 are the best. And the coach looks at 3 instead of having to go out and search 10 on his own. I think there could be a lot of ways that you could reduce the load of the head coach and still have his input to say, yeah, these are the guys I want. Whereas right now it's just the head coach has got to direct it all. And then he puts it on the assistant coaches to say, okay, you guys go out and find the 10. Hopefully the general manager can do a better job than what an assistant coach could do, because he's got responsibilities as assistant coach that he's got to do. So it's an extra duty for him. So if that's what the general manager does, is help to find players, transfer portal, recruits, whatever it might be, then that can streamline the process as well.
Well, Scott Dolson, I've said this many, many times. If this works out, then he will go on to the Mount Rushmore of Indiana athletics for all time as the head face on there. And I know that's saying a lot. That would include Bob Knight and some others. But Scott Dolson, if he gets this done, without question, is going to become one of the most important figures in the history of IU athletics.
Well, I agree with you. And think about how, the coaching skills have changed. The player skills have changed over 50 years. In the athletic department, it was an administrative position. You paid the bills. You hired the coaches. You ran the business of athletic departments. And the revenue was nowhere near what it is now. And so there weren't financial issues. There was no money to deal with, they were just getting by. I think coach's first salary when he got to Indiana was around $30,000 a year. $30,000 to hire Bob Knight. Okay. So it's gone from an administrative position to running a business. This is what Dolson does. It's a business.
Oh yeah.
He's running the business, and that staff, and a completely different dynamic now. TV revenue, and in the Big Ten, one of the best conferences there is. We're so fortunate to be in there, and know that we're going to stay. So yeah, as life changes, players change. I think, Jimmy, I graduated in 1975, and we had good teams, and we played good ball. And I think back 50 years before I graduated, 1925. Okay. And that's where we are today. It's 50 years since I graduated, 2025. The jump shot was not invented yet in 1925. There was no dunking. Scores were in the 20s and 30s, okay? A totally different game than when I played in 75. But guess what? It's a totally different game now in 2025 than it was, just like it was for me 50 years ago to 1925. So you have to adjust, and you can't compare ages to ages. It's a totally different game, but it's exciting basketball. We're a great university. We got a great coach. We're going to get good players that the fans are going to love to associate with, and we're going to start winning, man.
I agree with your brother, John Laskowski, one of the all-time greats at IU and one of the all-time greats at Culver's. If you're in the Bloomington area, stop by and get yourself a Butter Burger or Bedford soon, or down at Jasper, all over. John, I appreciate you as always, my friend. Look forward to having you back on soon.
Thanks, Jim. You have a great day, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. The great John Laskowski joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got to take a quick break, 2 minutes. We're back with Chris Denari. The Pacers keep winning, securing their playoff spot. Back with more right after this break. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theUglyGrouper.com for more information. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Chris Denari from the Pacers, who just keep on winning, joining us now. Chris, how are you doing, my friend? I got to catch some of the game last night. I saw you. I couldn't hear you, unfortunately, but I was like waving, "Hey, Chris, I'll see you tomorrow." Another great win by the Pacers. They're rolling, brother.
Yeah, let's see. It is 10 of 13 overall. They've won 10 of 11 at home, playing some good basketball. These are the toughest games of the year. You've clinched a playoff spot. You're trying to secure home court advantage, and you're playing a team with a bad record that still has guys that are playing, for jobs. And so, maybe it was a little more difficult than you would have liked it to be, but I thought the Pacers did what they needed to do. They've got another one tomorrow night, Utah. They've got a poor record as well. So you just have to try and take care of business and put yourself in position, Jim. I think next week, their magic number is now 3 or 4 to hold on to that 4 seed in the East. And I think if they could get to the middle of next week and have that 4 seed clinched, I think you'll see them rest some guys, because I think some guys need some rest. Pascal Siakam, those kinds of guys. So that'll be interesting to see how the Pacers play that in the final 6 games of the year.
Yeah, and they're kind of really in a groove. Tyrese Halliburton, who they need to be in a groove, is probably playing his best basketball of the season right now.
Oh, there's no question about that. He's had 13 double-doubles in the last 15. He had 22 points last night, 10 assists, and no turnovers.
That sounds like me in my prime, Chris.
And he now, Jim, he holds the NBA record. I'm trying to look back at my notes here. He's got more games of 20 points, 10 assists, and 0 turnovers than anybody in the history of the NBA. And he's only 25 years old. Wow. So the fact that he takes care of the ball, and it's not like he makes easy passes. I mean, he's making winning passes and threading the needle at times to get his teammates the best shot possible. So it's not like he's out there playing safe. But what he's been able to do in his short NBA career, and the fact that he's doing it with the Pacers, is really good.
How many? 20 points, and what was the second?
He now has 14 career 20-point, 10 assist, 0 turnovers game. He has 14 of those. He has now passed Chris Paul. And Chris Paul, we know, is a veteran of this league that has played, 15, 16, 17 years.
World champion.
Yeah, Tyrese, still has the bulk of his NBA career ahead of him, and he's already set the NBA record with 14 of those.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that truly is amazing, especially on a team that's not been one that has been like what Oklahoma is right now, or the Celtics. And how about Oklahoma? I mean, I looked up, saw their record last night. They've lost 12 games
Yes.
all season. And I was like, wait a minute. How many did the Bulls lose in that one year? 62-10 or something, or 72-10?
A few years ago, Golden State was 73-9, but they did not win the NBA title. That was one of the years they got beat. What's fascinating, I saw Oklahoma City on Saturday night, and they were really good, beating the Pacers 132-111. And I said this, Jim, they started the season 30-5. So in their first 35 games, they won 30. Most teams then hit a wall, and there's some regression, right? They, I think, are 34-7 in their next 41 games. So they're having a tremendous year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jokic are probably the two players running neck and neck for MVP. OKC is probably one of the deepest teams in the NBA. It's going to be interesting to see. There will be a lot of pressure on them in the postseason, right? And the Western Conference has a lot of talented teams, even some of those teams that are battling for 7, 8, 9, 10 that may not have a good record. But if you're Oklahoma City, do you want to see Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in the first round? I'm not sure you do, but that's what it very easily could be.
And things are going to get a little rough for the Pacers as far as the schedule as you look ahead. Coming off of these wins, they've got the Jazz at home, but then they play 2 out in Denver, and they've got some guy named Booker that he does okay.
Yeah, he had 61 the other night. He plays at his own speed. He's an unbelievable passer at almost 7 feet. He can shoot the three. I mean, he's doing things that big guys only dreamed about, doing so many years ago. So you're right. Utah tomorrow night, in Denver on Sunday, a one-off trip, and then come back home for 3 more at home. Washington next Tuesday, then a home back-to-back with Cleveland and Orlando, and then play the Cavaliers in Cleveland the final Sunday of the regular season. The good news is, Jim, after you play that final game on the 13th, the Pacers' first playoff game won't be until 5 or 6 days later, either Saturday the 19th or Sunday the 20th. So they have a good chance to catch their breath, get some good practices in, and focus on the postseason. And then the great thing about the postseason is you've got at least 1 day, a lot of times 2 days between playoff games. So you'll never play another back-to-back. Hopefully the Pacers go into that as healthy as they've been all year.
And kind of a unique deal to the schedule. Of their last 8 games of this season, they've got 3 twofers where they play teams back-to-back, which kind of unusual. We've seen it throughout the season, but to have that many in your last 8 games, 6 of your last 8 games will be doubles. 2 of those against the Nuggets, 2 of those against the Cavaliers. And who are the other 2 against? Or did I make that up? They played the Cavaliers 3 times. The Magic. And they also played the Cavaliers 3 times in their last 8 games.
No, just twice. Just next Thursday and then the last Sunday of the regular season.
I apologize. They've got the last game listed twice for some reason.
It's a doubleheader, Jim. You play it once,
I didn't even look at the dates because it's the same date, and I'm like going, I guess it is a doubleheader because I'm like, wow, they list that.
That would be something different. We've COVID brought us those we call them baseball series because it's like baseball. You go to the same town or they come to you and you play them twice. That would be unique. It'd be like AAU, play them at 1 o'clock and then play them at 7 o'clock.
It would be all right. So they're going to get tested at the end. So they can't cruise into the playoffs.
No, the only thing that I think will happen is if you get to that final 2 to 3 games and you've locked up number 4, Cleveland has locked up number 1. I'm going to say that the Pacers will use a couple of those games to rest guys. They may not rest them all in one game, but I think the benefit would be to get guys off their feet if you've got number 4 secure. And the Pacers are very close to having that done. If they can take care of business against Utah, then they've got Denver and Washington. They could get to those final 3 games and really have nothing to play for. And at that point, you may opt to rest some guys.
Yeah, you've got a game against the Wizards, 2 against the Magic. And, of course, if you are secured, that final game in Cleveland. That's going to be a tough game regardless. So if you're locked in, there's no point in wearing yourself out.
Yeah, the magic number is 4 for number 4, and what that means, it's a combination of Pacers wins and losses by Detroit, because Detroit's currently in 5th. So any combination of Pacers wins, Pistons or Bucks losses that equal 4, and the Pacers will have number 4 locked up.
4 for 4, baby. Chris Denari, I appreciate you. Let's get you out of here so you can go get an adjustment.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Jim. Talk to you next week.
Appreciate you so much, buddy. Chris Denari from the Indiana Pacers. We're back with more. Shannon Griffith, coach, joins us. After this, we'll talk some football. Back with more right after these messages. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this post-stormy Thursday. How are things up in Fort Wayne? I guess all the things kind of died when they made it up that way, didn't they? Or did they?
They had a couple, I think they called radar indicated tornadoes up this way, but we survived. It was just probably mostly wind and, of course, the beating rain that it hit us with on a crazy for, I would say, a good hour. That was the crazy thing up here. It seemed to just kind of come over us and stop. So we got a lot of rain. One of my dogs doesn't do great when there's thunderstorms in the air. So he had a rough night, man. He was hiding in the basement. He was like, I'm going down there. I don't like the feel of this. So he kind of gave us a little bit of warning, because when it gets real bad, he's like, I don't know what it is about dogs. They just have this sixth sense about it, and he takes off and runs to the basement when he thinks it's really bad. So
they don't want nothing to do with it, baby.
They don't want nothing to do with it, man.
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with that. Indiana football we're right in the heart of spring practice right now, kind of right in the center spot. The spring game comes up. What is today's date? I don't even remember.
Today's the 3rd.
I am that lost.
So another, let's see, this is April 3rd,
Yeah,
and they're doing it
forgetting to move my calendar. I've got to flip that thing over. So
yeah,
one,
I think
two,
they're doing
three,
it on the 17th.
No, it's 17th or 27th.
Oh, well, see, here we're both sitting here don't know what we're talking about.
Well, I know it's on a Thursday.
17th.
I'm gonna go with the 17th because the 17th is on a Thursday and the 27th is not. So there you go.
There
So
you go.
we're a couple of weeks away from the spring
Well,
game. Now, of course, we cannot
2 weeks from today.
yeah. Indiana with a big time loss
No.
already, and this is not something that happened to them last year. They did lose an offensive lineman in,
was it Evans, I
in
think?
fall camp. Drew Evans. I
Oh,
think.
no, that wasn't Drew Evans. It was the kid that came from James Madison.
Yeah,
There-
I can't. There was.
I can't think of
anyway.
it. There was 30 of them, so I can't think of them.
But they didn't have anything this early, and
No.
and this is just a freak deal. It was a non-contact injury, and oh my gosh! Not only that, he was going to be a valuable part of that offense, but luckily, with having it happen at this time, luckily for Indiana, not for the player, but they can go into the portal and find somebody to fill that spot.
Yeah, I think, again, we've talked about this evaluational aspect of why you have spring football, and here's a prime example why. Unfortunately for Tyler, he loses the year. That's just, like you said, this is the second time that a non-contact injury has resulted in Indiana losing a kid for an entire year. Tyler Morris, and then you've got Tyler Cherry, who did it at the end of the season during Notre Dame. So I want to know what non-contact drills they're doing that is ultimately leading to them blowing out. So,
well, it's actually you just think back to Teddy Bridgewater. I use that excuse all the time. That dude shredded his knee, and all he was doing was a non-contact dropping back to throw the ball drill, and he was out for I think 2.5 seasons. So it's just a freak deal. You hit something at the wrong way at the wrong time, and whatever happens. But and Teddy Bridgewater, when he was with the Vikings, I believe, had that happen to him, and it was unbelievable. But again, hopefully Indiana can replace that, because right now they're in really good position with everything else across the board. And people might say, well, that's just one spot. Yeah, but when you're looking to elevate everything and you have one of those guys that will help elevate that, it's a blow.
And I was there. I got my mic. It was all crazy. Fixing my mic. Yeah, it is. It's a huge blow, but like you said, you get a chance to go into the portal if need be. So they're going to evaluate what they've got. They're a little thin now at wide receiver for the rest of spring. So they're moving some bodies around to, just get through the practice portal of it. And so Coach Signani will make an evaluation of the young guys. If any of them are potentially ready to step into a role that may not result in them going to the portal, or if there's somebody in the portal that is available at wide receiver, you say, we just can't let that kid go. We need him irregardless of what position he's in. So I hate it for Tyler Morris. Here's a kid coming from Michigan, very highly touted, going to be a guy that gave IU some speed on the outside, and you lose him to a non-contact drill, which that in itself just frustrates the heck out of you, because you do all these things for protecting kids, and you do a drill, maybe a cut drill he was doing, and he took a plant and planted the wrong way, and he blows his knee out.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate. But I shouldn't say but. He will have another year of eligibility unless he has burned a redshirt year already, and I'm not deep enough into his.
Yeah, well, he'll have the option to do what the offensive lineman had to do, is maybe come back for that medical waiver year, or if he feels he's ready to go to the NFL, he'll go to the NFL. But
and it must be pretty serious to be out for the season now. That's a pretty substantial injury, because in this day and age, ACL tears and whatnot that used to be serious surgery is now not nearly that bad. And you would have thought that with this much time, he could have made it back in the season, but they're either just shutting him down and holding him, or it's a pretty severe injury.
Well, you look at Tyler Jerry, he did it way back against in Notre Dame, and we don't even know if he'll be back for fall camp yet or not. There's some debate there on that aspect of things, but usually with knees, you're talking at least 6 to 9 months to recovery. It takes about a year to get back to feeling like yourself. So it's a tough thing, and you hate it because of football being such a 12-game season at most, and you just don't have the time to get kids back, especially when they blow their knee out.
Yeah, and now they'll have to go in and not only replace him right now with the offense, but replace him in a permanent fashion as they go forward. But again, they're in good shape. But that's why you have to have developed depth. And that's something that this football team is still building, still working on, is depth at every position. Now, wide receiver, although he was a slot receiver, the receiving room is pretty good, but he was really good at his spot.
Oh yeah, he was a top tier kid. He was a top tier kid at Michigan, and they were placed, hoping that he was going to be a guy that could come in here and replace Miles and, all the guys that, have graduated with one body, which I think they would have been able to do that. But, and you heard Coach Signetti talking about Monday when he talked about depth. He talked about developing depth, and that's the time that this is the time to do it. He talked about the offensive line and how much their depth has improved. It's not where they want it to be than it was his first year here. So it's always a battle on the depth issue, making sure you have the bodies at the position. And, because if you lose one, man, that security blanket of having two goes away real quick. And so that's why you got to have 2 to 3 guys ready to step in to a role that they may not be technically ready for, but athletically and physically, they fit the bill for what you need to have to play at the Big Ten level.
Yeah, and Indiana is definitely there. And I've seen people something came out that Indiana had an easy schedule next year. And I'm like, first of all, the stupidity of anybody talking about anything like that right now is idiotic. There is no way you can do any kind of a top 25 that has any meaning to it. None. Nobody knows what these teams are truly like right now. And if you don't believe me, go back and look at last season's preseason top 25, look at the postseason top 25 and see what you see. These preseason top 25s are just to get people to read. And I get it, but it's stupid. So I'm telling you, don't fall into that. It's stupid. You don't know what Indiana's going to be like. You don't know what Auburn's going to be like. You know what they have, but I'm pretty sure everybody thought Alabama was going to kick the ever-loving crap out of everybody last year. Well, guess what? Didn't happen. They thought this and that. They didn't think Indiana was going to be last in the Big Ten. Guess what? Think again. So you've got to let this stuff play out. Indiana is in the mix. That's the thing. They are going to be a participant. Now, as far as their schedule being easy, that's a joke.
Yeah,
your first Big Ten game, although it's at home, is against Illinois. But then you go on the road to an Iowa team that I think is going to fight for a CFP spot. Then you go to Oregon that we know is going to be fighting for a CFP spot. Later, you go to Penn State, who also will be fighting for a CFP spot. So how this is an easy schedule, beyond me. This is just more of the same crap that we heard last year, but this is worse because I'm like, no, stop. You're going to Iowa, Penn State, and Oregon. Shut it. Just shut it.
Absolutely. I mean, the schedule is, it is what it is on the schedule. Everybody gets too caught up on the non-conference games, and then everybody gets caught up on who are you playing and who you aren't playing. Well, that's that's just having 18 teams in a conference, and you're not going to play every team. So, Indiana's going to fight this for ever. And when it comes to last season and into this season, and they'll have an excuse as to why or why not. And that's just the way it is when you're trying to get respectability, when you're fighting, years and years of not having it. So best thing to do is, say very little and let the season get going before you evaluate who is or who isn't a contender.
Yeah, Kurt Signetti is known for saying very little.
He don't say too much, but when he does say, people listen. What is that E.F. Hutton commercial? He's like E.F. Hutton when he talks. People listen.
I don't know if I'd say he says very little. You stick a microphone in his face, and he's gonna talk, but he's not. I think that this season you'll see similar behavior, but now there's the confidence, the real confidence. Last year was the self-confidence of him and his staff having done what they had done previously. Now you come into a year where you did it in the Big Ten. You made the college football playoffs. You shocked the college football world. So I think that it may be muted a little bit, but it's going to be built on confidence of having done it.
Absolutely. And, Kirk said, like Kirk said, he said, last year's last year. This is a completely different team. This is a completely different mentality. He talks about never being comfortable. He made a comment about that in the post, presser the other day about I'm never comfortable, and that has to do with he doesn't rest on what they did last year, and he won't let the kids either. Just because you had success doesn't guarantee you're going to have success this year. And I guarantee you this, there's no Big Ten team that's going to take Indiana lightly, because
hell no.
Nebraska found out about that real quick. And Washington found about that real quick, and we can go right down the line. So
Indiana's going to have a target on its back next year.
Yeah, they'll have a bullseye this year. There's no question they're going to have a bullseye. Even though they may not be considered the top of the heap, they're going to have a bullseye on them because of their success last year and people thinking we've got to knock them down a peg or two. So he'll have plenty of motivation, chip on shoulder, for the kids about talking explicitly about that fact and that fact alone, respectability, earning it, maintaining it, and doing it with a fast, physical, relentless mentality for the entire 2025 season, and understand that no one game is going to make the season, but you're going to have a bullseye on you for the entire year.
Absolutely. Coach Shannon Griffith from thehoosier.com.
That's right.
Joining us now. Make sure you go to thehoosier.com, get yourself a subscription, thehoosier.com on 3, as you are going to find constant content, inside information, in addition to Shannon's podcast and much, much more. In addition to the basketball coverage, Alec Lasley and Kyler Staley both out at the Chipotle Nationals last night, and tons of content up there right now. They have got a special going. It's $1 for the first month, half price for the entire year.
Yeah,
$5 a year or a month, people. Go support thehoosier.com so they can continue to bring you that coverage. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you as always.
My man. Talk to you next week.
We'll do it again later. Hey, that is going to wrap it up. Big thanks to everyone for joining us on the program today, especially you. We can't do it without you. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Todd Leary, Zach Osterman, Alec Lasley, and more. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.